It now appears if she wants to run for supervisor again, it will have to be as a write-in candidate.
Tiffany Henyard, the self-proclaimed super mayor of Dalton, Illinois, has become a polarizing figure in local politics. Once praised for her bold vision and high prefaces, her administration is now marred by scandals, lawsuits, and political discord. Her time in office has been marked by contentious decisions, fiery confrontations, and ongoing accusations of financial mismanagement. The most recent uproar occurred during a chaotic caucus where Henyard was disqualified from the ballot, allegedly for violating procedural rules. She left the event in protest, accusing State Senator Napoleon Harris of orchestrating a fraudulent process and calling it an act of voter suppression. Her promise to pursue legal action has further fueled political division in Dalton. Meanwhile, growing concerns over financial mismanagement continue to plague her administration. Mayor Tiffany Henyard of Dalton, Illinois, is facing intense criticism over allegations of misusing public funds, including a $43,000 Amazon shopping spree, excessive travel expenses, and unexplained purchases made with the village credit card. These claims have outraged residents, many of whom live modestly and struggle with limited access to essential public resources. Dr. Dinsmith's financial oversight under Henyard's leadership has come under sharp scrutiny, especially after a special investigation led by former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot revealed that Dalton's general fund plunged from a $5 million surplus to a deficit exceeding $3 million within 2 years. The dramatic reversal has raised serious questions about Henyard's fiscal priorities and accountability. Adding to the turmoil, an ongoing FBI investigation into her administration has created a climate of uncertainty about Dalton's future. Despite mounting allegations and growing pressure from critics, Henyard has remained unapologetic, refusing to concede to demands for accountability. Instead of addressing mounting concerns, Mayor Tiffany Henyard of Dalton, Illinois, has intensified her rhetoric, often taking to social media to attack opponents she labels as enemies of progress. Framing herself as a victim of political sabotage, Henyard's narrative resonates with her loyal supporters, but alienates many others within the community and political circles. Her confrontational leadership style has fueled further discord, marked by public clashes with officials and community leaders, fostering an atmosphere of dysfunction. Calls for transparency and accountability have only been met with defiance, leaving little room for reconciliation or constructive dialogue. The depth of mismanagement was starkly highlighted in a special audit, which uncovered significant discrepancies in the village's financial records, further eroding public trust in her administration. Mayor Tiffany Henyard's alleged lavish spending starkly contrasts with the needs of Dalton's residents, who are grappling with declining public services and crumbling infrastructure. To many, her actions highlight a troubling disconnect between her administration's priorities and the daily struggles of the community she was elected to serve. As Dalton contends with the fallout from her contentious leadership, the town stands at a pivotal moment. The Porters see Henyard as a bold, misunderstood leader, challenging the status quo, while critics argue that her tenure has brought financial turmoil and political chaos to the village. Whether her defiance will pave the way for a political resurgence or deepen Dalton's instability remains uncertain. What is undeniable, however, is that Henyard's time in office has transformed the small suburban town into a hotbed of political intrigue, leaving behind a legacy marked by controversy, division, and unresolved questions.
Our first WGN Investigates report on questionable spending by South suburban politician Tiffany Henyard. It appears she has been forced.
What began as a routine Democratic caucus for Thornton Township quickly escalated into a political showdown centered around the contentious figure of Tiffany Henyard. Serving as both Thornton Township supervisor and mayor of Dalton, Henyard aimed to secure her re-election as supervisor, but faced a major setback when her name was left off the ballot. The omission resulted from her campaign's failure to meet key state requirements, most notably the absence of a certified assessor on her slate, a crucial component for any township supervisor bid. This misstep created an opening for Illinois State Senator Napoleon Harris, who also serves as the township's Democratic committeeman, to step in and secure the nomination. What was expected to be a routine procedural event quickly devolved into a tense confrontation, marking an unexpected and dramatic twist in Henyard's re-election efforts. The fallout from Tiffany Henyard's exclusion from the ballot laid bare the deep political divide within Thornton Township. Her critics viewed the debacle as a reflection of broader issues in her leadership, citing it as yet another example of mismanagement and disorganization. They argued that failing to meet basic campaign requirements mirrored the administrative flaws that have plagued her tenure. On the other side, Henyard supporters condemned her exclusion as a calculated power play, accusing State Senator Napoleon Harris and other Democratic leaders of deliberately orchestrating her removal from township politics. The controversy has elevated Harris as a key player in Thornton Township's political future, while Henyard has remained notably silent, fueling speculation about her next move. Many believe she may challenge the caucus results or seek alternative ways to retain her influence in local politics. Known for her defiance, Tiffany Henyard has a history of doubling down in the face of adversity, leaving many to speculate on how she will confront this latest setback. Meanwhile, State Senator Napoleon Harris's successful nomination signals a potential shift in Thornton Township's political landscape. Seen as a strategic power move, his rise marks a pivotal moment that could reshape the township's leadership. This unexpected turn of events highlights the high-stakes nature of local politics, where shifting alliances and small missteps can trigger significant consequences. As the dust settles, all eyes are on Henyard and Harris as they vie for control of the township's future, amid growing public scrutiny and a divided electorate. The Thornton Township Caucus has become a symbol of the broader power struggles playing out in local government, leaving residents and stakeholders eagerly watching to see what happens next.
Supervisor Tiffany Henyard, who was appointed to that position tonight, lost her bid for the Democratic Party's nomination.
Tiffany Henyard did not quietly accept her defeat at the Thornton Township Democratic Caucus, storming out of the event and accusing Illinois State Senator Napoleon Harris of overseeing an illegal process, declaring, "You didn't run none of this the right way." She vowed to sue everyone involved, her frustration spilling over amid the tense atmosphere. Henyard, who serves as both Thornton Township Supervisor and Mayor of Dolton, had sought to retain her township position but was left off the ballot after her campaign failed to meet key requirements. Harris, who also serves as the township's Democratic committeeman, rejected her accusations, explaining that people in Thornton Township may be new to caucuses because they haven't had them in a while, but insisted the process followed long-standing procedures used in other townships. Despite his reassurances, Henyard supporters were outraged, alleging the process was rigged in Harris's favor, further deepening the political rift and intensifying the ongoing power struggle within Thornton Township. Henyard supporters accused Harris's team of packing the caucus room with their own backers while leaving Henyard's supporters stranded outside in the cold, unable to participate. Some even labeled the situation as voter suppression. "This is criminal," one of Henyard's allies exclaimed, claiming that hundreds of people were unfairly excluded from the process. Henyard has since doubled down on her accusations, calling the caucus fraudulent and threatening legal action. Her lawyer argued that the rules were manipulated to disqualify her, pointing to a provision that prohibited candidates for township supervisor from simultaneously running for another office. Henyard, who is also running for re-election as Dolton's mayor, claimed she was unaware of this rule until the day of the caucus, which she says proved the process was rigged against her. However, Harris's team has pushed back, asserting that the rules were publicly posted in advance and accessible to all candidates. Harris's team argues that Henyard's claims of impropriety are unfounded and reflect her inability to accept the results. The caucus controversy adds to the growing list of challenges in Henyard's turbulent political career. Over the past year, she has faced increasing criticism over allegations of financial mismanagement and lavish spending. Among the most startling accusations is a reported $443,000 Amazon shopping spree in a single day, an eye-popping figure that raised serious concerns about her fiscal responsibility. In addition, Henyard has been accused of accumulating over $100,000 in discretionary expenses, often without providing adequate justification for the spending. For her detractors, these financial controversies present a troubling portrait of a leader more focused on personal gain than serving the public. Henyard's supporters, however, argue that she is being unfairly targeted by political adversaries eager to see her downfall. They believe the scrutiny of her administration is politically driven and part of a larger effort to discredit her leadership. The caucus debacle, coupled with ongoing investigations into her administration, underscores the deep divisions within Thornton Township's politics. As residents navigate the fallout, the future of the township remains uncertain. Whether Henyard can recover from these controversies or if they signal the end of her political career is yet to be determined. For now, the incident highlights the profound polarization within the township, leaving many to question how the political drama will ultimately unfold.
Because they can't beat me. If they could beat me, they would have went to the polls. But now when I bring the people out, you don't let them eat.
A preliminary report from former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, who was hired as a special investigator, paints a bleak picture of Dalton's financial health under Mayor Tiffany Henyard's leadership. The report reveals a dramatic decline in the village's general fund, which dropped from a surplus of over $5 million to a deficit exceeding $3 million in just 2 years, raising serious concerns about fiscal mismanagement. Lightfoot's investigation uncovered a troubling pattern of questionable spending, with Henyard allegedly using the village credit card for purchases at retail stores like Walgreens, Target, and Wayfair. These expenses, which lack transparency, seem unrelated to the community's needs, further fuel frustration among Dalton's residents. In a village where the median income is just $24,000 per year, these revelations have deepened mistrust in local leadership. Critics argue that Henyard's spending habits reflect a larger issue of prioritizing personal gain over the needs of the public. Among the most concerning allegations are a $43,000 Amazon shopping spree and over $100,000 in travel and dining expenses during Mayor Henyard's tenure. Meanwhile, Dalton's public services and infrastructure continued to decline, leaving residents increasingly frustrated and feeling neglected by a leadership they had hoped would improve their quality of life. Henyard's critics argue that the financial crisis has been worsened by poor oversight and a lack of accountability in her administration. On the other hand, Henyard's supporters contend that Dalton's financial struggles are the result of long-standing systemic issues that predate her time in office. They argue that her spending was intended to modernize and improve the village, though Lightfoot's investigation seems to challenge this defense. The report points to inadequate financial oversight as a key factor in Dalton's worsening fiscal situation, casting doubt on the claim that the spending was essential or strategic. The investigation has ignited outrage among Dalton residents, many of whom are demanding answers and greater transparency regarding the use of public funds. Calls for stronger financial controls and accountability measures have grown louder as the community deals with the aftermath of the report. Lightfoot's findings only add to the mounting list of controversies surrounding Henyard's administration, deepening the divide within the community. While Henyard's supporters continue to defend her, critics argue that her leadership has failed to tackle Dalton's urgent economic issues. As the village faces this financial crisis, the pressing question is whether its leadership can regain public trust and guide Dalton toward recovery. Without significant reforms, Henyard's tenure risks becoming a cautionary tale of fiscal mismanagement and unfulfilled potential.
There are perception issues with it that are right to get attention. Will the court look at those perception issues? Probably not, but the voters certainly should.
Tiffany Henyard, the embattled mayor of Dalton and Thornton Township supervisor, is facing serious financial troubles that extend beyond her public office. Her landlord claims that Henyard and her boyfriend have not paid rent on their home since August, accumulating thousands of dollars in overdue payments. To make matters worse, they reportedly changed the locks and garage code, preventing the landlord from accessing the property. This situation has raised significant concerns, particularly given Henyard's combined annual salary of nearly $300,000 from her roles as mayor and supervisor. Critics argue that if she cannot manage her personal finances, she is unfit to oversee millions in taxpayer dollars. Henyard's financial issues are spilling over into her governance of Dalton and Thornton Township, with residents increasingly feeling the effects of her alleged mismanagement. Trustees have raised repeated alarms about unpaid bills, including overdue payments for essential township services. A major issue has been the lapse of the township's insurance due to non-payment, leaving residents vulnerable as critical services like bus transportation for seniors and liability coverage for township properties hang in the balance. Henyard has blamed trustees for blocking her efforts to address these issues, but her critics argue that her financial mismanagement is the root cause of the crisis. The trustees are particularly frustrated by her controversial proposal to cut the salary of her successor as Thornton Township supervisor to just $25,000, a sharp drop from the $200,000 she currently earns. Many see this as a deliberate attempt to deter qualified candidates from taking the position. It's an insult to the residents who deserve competent leadership, one trustee remarked. She's trying to sabotage the position for anyone who comes after her. Compounding the financial turmoil is Henyard's frequent use of taxpayer money to fund legal battles against her critics and township trustees. These lawsuits, often seen as personal rather than professional, require expensive legal counsel, further depleting the township's already limited resources. Residents are increasingly frustrated by the diversion of public funds to settle disputes that appear rooted in Henyard's own conflicts. Meanwhile, an FBI investigation into Henyard's administration looms, raising concerns about potential criminal charges and the additional financial burden they could place on the township. Amid growing controversies, Dalton and Thornton Township are facing a leadership crisis that seems far from resolution. At a recent village board meeting, Henyard doubled down on her stance, framing herself as the victim of a political smear campaign. She even compared her situation to that of former President Donald Trump, claiming she is being unfairly targeted because of her position. "Like it or not, I'm your mayor," Henyard declared, as some audience members turned their backs in protest. While her loyal supporters continue to defend her as a misunderstood leader fighting an unjust system, her critics remain unconvinced. "She doesn't even pay her own bills," one critic said. "Stop her and keep exposing her." As tensions rise, the community is left to cope with the fallout of Henyard's leadership. In response to burnt-out records of sexual abuse and harassment, members of her crew, with deteriorating services, mounting lawsuits, and an ongoing FBI investigation, many fear that the township's challenges are far from over. Henyard's tenure, already tainted by accusations of financial mismanagement, excessive spending, and personal conflicts, has become a cautionary tale of governance gone wrong. Residents are left wondering if the township can recover from this turmoil or if Henyard's administration will leave lasting damage.
This the right way. Illegal.
Tiffany Henyard, the embattled mayor of Dalton and Thornton Township supervisor, is facing a growing array of scandals and investigations. Allegations of financial mismanagement, misuse of taxpayer funds, and political retaliation have sparked inquiries by both the FBI and her own trustees, casting a shadow over her administration's conduct. Business owners in Dalton have accused Henyard of using the police to port her politically. The owner of Wonder Bar claimed his business license was revoked after he declined to donate to a civic event she sponsored. Similarly, a trucking company owner alleged that his business was targeted for the same reason. These accusations have led some to liken her administration to a real-life Parks and Recreation situation, but without the humor. Henyard's financial management has also come under fire, with a particularly shocking report revealing that some Dalton police officers earned more in overtime than in their regular salaries. One example of the financial mismanagement is an officer who, with a salary of $73,000, received over $100,000 in overtime pay. Critics argue that this is just another indication of Henyard's failure to allocate resources effectively, as funds that could be used to improve the town are instead being spent on questionable expenses. The FBI's investigation reportedly includes allegations of taxpayer dollar misuse and politically motivated retaliation. FBI reporter Yun Lousy reports for Mark Madison. Meanwhile, trustees in Thornton Township have demanded accountability for Henyard's reckless spending, which they claim is spiraling out of control. Residents are increasingly concerned about the township's unpaid bills and lapsed insurance coverage, which has put vital services like senior bus programs and liability protections at risk. Trustees have even boycotted meetings, leaving the township paralyzed and residents frustrated with what they described as government dysfunction. Despite the mounting controversies, Henyard continues to insist she is the victim of political sabotage, remaining defiant in her pursuit of power. After her recent loss at the Thornton Township Democratic Caucus, where Illinois State Senator Napoleon Harris secured the nomination, Henyard vowed to fight back. "I am 100% confident that I will be on the ballot," she declared, stating that her legal team is preparing a lawsuit to challenge the caucus results. Her only remaining option to retain her position as supervisor would be to run as a write-in or independent candidate. However, the odds are stacked against her. Her reputation has been tarnished by scandals over alleged financial mismanagement, including personal spending controversies and accusations of using township resources for personal gain. Critics highlight that despite her combined salary of nearly $300,000, Henyard still faces eviction for unpaid rent, raising questions about her ability to manage public funds. Meanwhile, Henyard's public statements continue to deepen the divide. At a recent board meeting, she compared herself to Donald Trump, claiming she is being unfairly targeted. "I will win in a landslide just like Trump," she asserted, doubling down on her belief that political rivals are trying to sabotage her. Key residents of Dalton and Thornton Township, Henyard's tenure has become a cautionary tale of unchecked power and poor leadership. Many believe her rise to prominence was built on identity politics and lofty promises, yet her actions have shown a focus on self-preservation rather than public service. As one resident put it, She is the reason why the town has no insurance. The bigger question now is whether Henyard will face consequences for her alleged actions or find a way to cling to power. The ongoing investigations and scandals have left Dalton and Thornton Township in turmoil, with residents wondering if the damage she's caused can be undone or if it will permanently stain their communities. The future for Henyard and the towns she serves remains uncertain. But one thing is clear, her administration has become a lightning rod for criticism, with residents demanding accountability and strong leadership to restore trust in their local government.